Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hot Pole Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and this is Liam Wright with me. Hello.
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 Hi.
This is your weekly-ish podcast for tech news and guitar news and music tech stuff and computery stuff that goes along with that. I hope you're all doing well. How's everyone in the chat? Let us know, and we will dive straight in. It's been a busy week. That's the character from Dota with the hook thing.
Pudge,
that's the one. I've not played Dota since I was a wee lad.
There's a new hero out.
Right? Okay.
Forgotten his name already. It's something something really stupid, like Big Monster Squisher or something like that.
Really?
Anyway, this isn't a Dota podcast. How's your week been? What have you been up to?
It's been manic, but really good this week. I've been doing a lot and preparing a lot. On the channel this week, we released a video about the KHE. Oh no, we've not released it yet. It's on Patreon. So on Monday, we will be releasing, unless you're on Patreon, sign up to the Patreon for early access, a video about an amp switcher where you press one button and it changes what amp or what cab you're using with effects loop, like that. It took me ages to install the thing, and the video is now done, and I will be doing a follow-up video where I control it all remotely with a Stream Deck. So I'll be able to sit at the console, and if there's a guitarist on the sofa or whether it's me playing, I'll be able to change amps by leaning over to the Stream Deck and going click, and go, that sounds different, click. And so combining that with the Dynamount, which is sat in the box right here because I've been doing some programming with it again, I'll be able to have a choice of cabs, a choice of amps, and a choice of mic positions without getting up from my seat. Really, really useful, because it means you don't have that gap in between of going, does this sound better than the last one? I don't know, let's try A and B 15 times. And I can just press a button and be like, nope, that's the one. Massive time saver. So that was a thing I did. Last night, I was on the Produce Like a Pro channel for a live stream for 3 hours while Warren mixed the Tom Sawyer track that we did. I don't know if we've done a podcast since that was all released, but that's been released to great acclaim, and I've been really happy with the response we've had for that. So yeah, thank you everybody for your good positive responses. It makes me very happy. And yeah, what else have I done? I've just been crazy busy. I've been preparing a lot. There's a plugin coming out very soon that you'll see the videos for. And also, I've been gearing up a series of videos with the Raspberry Pi now that there's this free set of Toucan plugins. I will be using them on the Raspberry Pi because they don't compile, let alone cross-compile. They just aren't compiled. They're compiled on the fly. They'll work on anything.
Very cool.
So yeah. And also, while I'm at it, as a massive nerd, I found that now you can...
Oh, I lost you. It's not popping up a sound on the meters either.
Huh. Well...
there you go.
That's weird. Maybe I moved the microphone and the microphone cut out because stupid microphone. Hopefully everybody got the gist of what I was saying. But yes. It's been a busy week. I've been running around like a crazy man. I am sweating like you wouldn't believe as well. I've been to the gym a few times and my arms are falling off.
I've not been able to go to the gym and do any workout at all this week. I'm way too busy, and it sucks. I want to lift.
Yes, I had one of those weeks. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week I was filming with John Brown for a new thing for Riff Hard, which I can't say exactly what it is yet because they'll release that in due course. But that took an entire week, so that's the other reason that, since... there was no podcast last week because I was stuck doing that until such time as I couldn't get back in broadcasting time. So I went straight from that to cleaning the house, doing the house husband thing, to filming videos and being a very, very busy man. The other thing is I'm selling all my cameras. Woo!
What?
Yes, I know. Not clickbait, genuinely. I'm trading them with a company called MPB, a big company that does trades with used gear in cameras. I've decided to give up on 6K, basically.
Okay.
6K is wonderful, but is a massive waste of hard drive space for what I'm doing, I have come to realize. So
Right.
what I'm doing is I am trading in that and the GH5S that I have with the Blackmagic screen, and trading all that in for 2 Blackmagic Pocket 4Ks. So firstly, I'll have 2 cameras that match for the first time in years, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, if I get a second speed booster, for anyone who's into cameras, a speed booster is a very clever thing. That means I can put bigger, more serious lenses on these cameras and actually get a better performance out of them, and have them look almost full frame, where the 6K doesn't do that. So yeah, that's the biggest problem I've been running into, is I want to run that 6K camera at 4K, and the only way it does it is to only use the middle bit of the sensor. So it's super zoomed in. Whereas if I use the 4K camera with a speed booster, it kind of tracks it back out to almost full frame without the hard drives going, please, please don't kill me. Because I have realized that the difference between 6K and 4K on the hard drives is double the data rate. And
Right.
yeah, double the data rate for no noticeable benefit.
What happens if you put a speed booster on the?
On the 6K, won't fit. They don't do them.
Because it's an EF mount.
Yeah, it's an EF mount and it's a Super 35 sensor. They don't make an adapter that fits that.
Mm-hmm.
If they did, it's a good question. I would have tried to go that route, but they don't make them. So in the end, I weighed up my options, and it's going to cost me almost nothing to send these guys what I have and get back exactly what I need. So yeah, and I already have a speed booster which fits perfectly on these 4K Blackmagic cameras, so I only need to get another one, and I don't even need that because I've got EF adapters to plug other cameras onto the other camera in the meantime.
Have you spoke to them about doing you a deal because you're a YouTuber?
No, but they'd probably be like, well, so's everybody else.
I would definitely try it, because one of the things you'll probably like. Have you sent the stuff off yet?
No, it's supposed to be going in the morning.
Yeah, just because like historically what happens with these sorts of services is they give you a quote, and then when they receive it, the quote goes down.
Yeah.
But by that point, you've already sent the stuff off, and you're like, oh, I'm going to lose 20%. Oh, but it's more hassle than it's worth it. I'll just go with it. Like that's how these companies work. It's the same with like the We Buy Any Car type stuff. So it just might be worth just reaching out to them and just saying, hey, that you're sending it and you love the idea. You mentioned it on a podcast. Like, would they be up for any sort of doodah? Because I mean, you do a lot of filming, like,
I do indeed.
and you have a platform. A lot of the people that we use this sort of stuff will be behind the camera without a platform because they'll be filming for other people. So, like, we've got a channel with over 50,000 subscribers.
Almost 60 at this point. Thank you everybody for doing that. By the way, thank you everybody for.
No harm in mentioning it, because I mean, yeah, they've got a UK office as well. I just call the UK office and just say, hey, what's going on, you? Press media and other inquiries.
Is
Can't hurt.
Is there a phone number or is it email only?
Email for media, but there's a phone number for the UK office.
Huh.
I just give the UK office a call and just say, hey, I'm a YouTuber and I want to use your stuff and just wanted to have a quick chat just to find out exactly how it works, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think I might do that in the morning.
And everyone that's watching now, tweet them because they've got a Twitter and say, yo, you should partner with Upload Studios. Yes. Do that right now.
They're called MPB.
Yeah, MPB.com on Twitter. Go message them and tell them that they should work with us. And then when Adam calls, they'll be like, oh, yeah, some people tweeted us yesterday about that.
Why not? like Van Dien said in
We've got
chat,
to be cheeky.
Shy Burns getting out.
We're a cheeky community. That's the way we are.
Poo Ninja
Don't
says
ask,
maybe
don't
a
get.
third camera for traditional 3-camera style. I'm like, I don't need 3 cameras at the moment, but couldn't hurt. But that's a future thing. Heck, I actually get 2 for the price of 1 cameras in terms of data on hard drives if I go back down to 4K. So it's 1.5 cameras worth. Maybe. But yeah, the other thing that I've found this week is that my beast of a computer is struggling with the 4K footage. Whenever I render it, it's 100% on the CPU, just nailed. So I'm upgrading my CPU.
My After Effects has started switching over to CPU only mode randomly.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've got to go in and turn it back to GPU mode, and then obviously reset After Effects for it to then register that. It's just a pain in the backside. I was playing something back, and it was like really slow, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's usually I mean, I've got a 3050 or whatever it is in here. It's a monster. And turned out it's like this is playing as if it's just software only. Lo and behold, it was.
Weird. I haven't had any of those issues, but that's the reason why I paid the extra money to get a Quadro, because generally Quadros do that kind of thing fairly solid. If they don't, shout and someone fixes it. But yeah, that's been my week, is all that, and complaining to the internet people that they're all useless. But that's a rant for another day. I'll just leave that where it is, because they're all equally useless round the world. So, a lot has happened in the news this week. Shall we talk about the news?
Let's talk about the news.
The news. Browser share, that is the news. Da, 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 da. Yes, I'm also looking around this room to see what else is new that I can show you, and the answer is not much that I can show you. So, yes, the news. I mean, one of the things that is in this room that I can't show you yet would probably have been shown off at Musikmesse. Unfortunately, that is no longer going to be the case. Musikmesse, for those who aren't up to speed with that kind of thing, if you've heard of NAMM is like the big American/worldwide music tech conference where everybody goes, all the new gears talked about, all that kind of stuff. Musikmesse is the European version, or rather, it was. The last Musikmesse was a couple of years ago, and my good friend Henning Pauli said, don't bother going because it's kind of rubbish. It's dying. All the companies don't want to go. So if some of the key companies don't want to go, then other companies don't go because the key companies aren't going, so it turns into a weird shell of an event. And so it's just been announced that the 2022 one, which has been postponed twice, is cancelled, and it will not return in its current format. So essentially Musikmesse is cancelled. Oh dear. Now, like I say, this is rumours have been going around that this was kind of on the cards anyway, but the whole COVID thing has put the nails in this coffin. It seems they've tried to make it work a couple of times, and yeah, not so much. So yeah, it's a shame, but yeah. So its sister show Pro Light and Sound is still going to happen. I'm guessing with that being a whole different industry, maybe they don't have any equivalent like NAMM where all the companies have gone, well, I'll just do that one then. But yeah, exhibitors and visitors flocked by the thousands, and now they don't. There are more narrowly focused things as well, like this article saying, like Superbooth, Synthfest UK, Synthfest Guitar Summit, Synthplex Guitar Summit. So yeah, Musikmesse has kind of lost out because there are specialist events for people who just want to go and do a sector that is specific to them. And I suppose the thing is, why would you do all the messing around to go to somewhere like Musikmesse when it's not as big as NAMM, never was, which means your niche is probably less likely to be heavily catered to. So yeah. Let's have a look. The market concentration. Here's a statement from the Musikmesse people. The market concentration in the musical instruments business, where a small number of online retailers account for over 70% of the market in Germany and neighbouring countries alone. Toman. is changing the market and ordering behaviour significantly. This means that it's not commercially viable to organise a B2B trade fair. That is quite telling that the change in the industry means that nobody needs to bother going to a big event like Musikmesse. And I suppose NAMM keeps going because it is the worldwide event, the single one where it's not necessarily European business to business, it is worldwide trade deals, which are I think the impetus for a lot of the companies to turn up in the first place. And so while they're there, why not showcase all the products to the press, which then makes its way out? But then that could change. Like, I'm supposed to be going to NAMM in the summer. I was talking to Warren Hewitt after the stream yesterday, and he was saying to me, "Yo, you coming to NAMM, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I hope so, if that's still a thing by then." Because a lot of companies apparently are worried and are not attending this year because of, all the things that have happened over the last couple of years. And it's going to take a little time for it to rebound and regrow. And, and it could end up being a similar story where for example, if Fender and Gibson aren't going and they take up an entire floor of a building, why should some of the smaller ones go if the press aren't coming because the big companies aren't there? These knock-on effects can happen pretty quickly. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of FOMO for the brands with something like NAMM, where if you're a medium to small brand and it's expensive to have a stall at NAMM, apparently it costs 5-6 figures, costs a serious marketing budget to be there. And if you go, well, who else is going to be there? And they go, don't know. As a company, I can see a lot of marketing executives going, well, if you can't tell me what big company is going to be there, why should we be there? Especially when a lot of companies have quite successfully adapted to announcing products online, showcasing products on their websites, disseminating to news outlets on the internet. Yeah, it's all a changing industry. But yeah, this is a bit of a shame that Musikmesse is going. Apparently there'll be a new event that's B2C rather than B2B, so business to consumer. But that's the other thing about NAMM and Musikmesse is there was no public attendance at all. It was business to business. If you didn't have a press pass or a company pass, you didn't get in. So they'll have to open it up to the public to convince people to buy tickets to something like this, just so that they can sustain a business model. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Now, moving on. Steinberg releases Cubase 12 with Apple Silicon support and more, which is cool. It's going to be the next logical progression in the Cubase world. A few things apparently that are really good about this. You don't need Steinberg's dongle anymore. Hallelujah. There's that. So they've changed their security model to something completely different. I'm not sure what, but it's dongle free, so it's some sort of computer-based licensing system, which is helpful, especially for mobile producers. There's new Vari Audio stuff. The thing that really caught my attention, and it was a bit coming soon, but is going to be a thing, is native licensed inbuilt Dolby Atmos support. Because apparently with something like Cubase or even their big brother Nuendo, you've been able to do Dolby Atmos mixing kind of in the past, but it was kind of a bit of a bodge, and you needed specific plugins inside it to do all of that kind of stuff. It was kind of hijacking the system to make it a bit, bit of a kludge to make it work. Cubase 12, it did say coming soon, so maybe it's going to be in like 12.1 or something like that. Apparently the code is kind of there, but it's still being tested. You'll be able to do things like have the bed tracks and then object bass tracks. From what I was reading, the bed tracks in Dolby Atmos are, I think it was 7.2.4 or 7.1.4, where it's 7 speakers around you on this plane, subwoofers, and then height-based audio. And then the object-based stuff is like game audio, where you say, this sound comes from there, etc., until you build up this surround image. which is very interesting because that's also like VR friendly, that kind of thing. If you put everything in spaces and have it so that you have a head tracker, then all the sound will move, which means that you can have a semi-interactive experience. Very cool. And so I'm considering getting Cubase 12 when the Atmos support is in there, because I would very much like to get into mixing in Atmos. But that might be quite the endeavor in the studio because it requires lots of speakers. Or some method of them folding that back down into like a binaural headphone monitoring experience. Because if I could mix Atmos on headphones, that'd be awesome. Because I know that in games like PUBG is a great example. I'm wearing these, someone shoots at me with a bullet, I know where they came from. I know whether they were in front of me, behind me, all that kind of stuff.
That's actually quite a bad example. I'm not 100% up on PUBG's current coding.
Okay.
But a year or so ago, they didn't actually code in whether you were above or below.
All right.
It wasn't, which is why it was really difficult to actually spot people within, like, to figure out where people were within buildings.
Okay.
They actually had really bad sound for that reason. I mean, they may well have fixed that by now because there's been loads and loads of updates. But I'd say CSGO would probably be the best example. I think CSGO's got the best audio of any game. But it's also interesting to look at how those sorts of games don't actually even get it right, even with the technology being there.
Okay.
I think it's all to do with the amount of, obviously PUBG is like 100-player map. Yeah. So understanding where another person is on the map in four dimensions. Is it 4 dimensions? 3.
It's 3, but
3,
I suppose you could factor in time if we're talking about like bullet travel and stuff.
Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking. I knew it was that reason. Then it makes it difficult with ping and everything. Whereas something like CS:GO, then there's only 10 people on the map, so it's a lot easier. So they're a lot more precise with it.
Okay, but the concept is there still. That's so okay. So CS:GO is a better example, but games have that in them now. Where it's improving year on year, I'm sure. Where you can kind of sense where things are on a 2-speaker, so to speak, setup. And I would imagine if you had like an Atmos system and you were playing something like CS:GO on it, that would be really cool. But the fact that you can pretty accurately and pretty quickly pick out where people are just using your ears with just headphones, that tells me that if they can get the system right to fold a 3D system down into a binaural experience, then I could actually mix 3D sound on these headphones. If the software that translates one to the other is good enough. Of course, that may be there right now. It may not. It may be something that's in the very near future. But if it is, I'm excited. So there you go. Cubase is good. And yeah, the prices are a little higher than I've been seeing. €580 for the Pro version, which is the one with everything. There's Elements, which is €100 or dollars, and the middle ground, the Artist one, which is $320, which I think that covers most of the stuff you would need. Still costs more than Reaper, but hey. Moving on. Here's another one that I think you can probably speak something towards. Epic Games acquires Bandcamp.
Yes, they did. Yeah, I saw it this morning. Moving into the music scene.
Yes, or are they moving the music scene closer into them, so to speak? If you get what I mean, that Bandcamp do some very cool stuff, and I wonder if this is more about future integration rather than just Epic owning a music thing. I wonder if they'll be using this to, I don't know, I'm just stabbing guesses out here right now, but Bandcamp, of course, now have the Sonar software that I think has now been rebranded back to Bandcamp, maybe? Cakewalk, I think might just be called Cakewalk now, that is free to use. And so, I mean, how easy would it be for them to then integrate making your own music into publishing into a game like Fortnite? and having someone buy the background music off you. Who knows?
Well, they've had lots of concerts in Fortnite.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it would be things like allowing you to buy like merch for the concerts and for sort of artists. Um, like I mean, it's interesting because I don't really heard much about, or at least I haven't seen much about Epic and kind of the whole metaverse thing that's popular at the moment. Whilst they're kind of perfectly positioned to to do that with Fortnite, because a lot of kids that essentially do live in Fortnite as if it was a kind of an MMO, sat there playing, kind of building in the sort of creative mode and such. And there isn't a massive difference between, say, something like Decentraland and Fortnite's creative mode. So maybe that could be something that's in the future ahead, where you'd actually have like Bandcamp merch stores in Fortnite's like metaverse if they move into that. I mean, of the companies that I would expect to move into like NFTs and metaverse technology, I think Epic are right up there alongside Ubisoft, who have already made waves in that space, and probably EA, people that are.
Hang on a second. I just need to retract some of my earlier statements that what I was talking about with Sonar Cakewalk is Band Lab, not Bandcamp.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what you were on about there, but
I got my wires
know
crossed a
argue
little. I saw the name and my
I
brain
was
just went,
mixing
"Oh, they're
them
the
there.
same thing." No, they're not. Bandcamp is the people who sell lots of music.
Yeah,
So
you
that
do a lot of merch
makes
and stuff, isn't it?
that's right. And
Yeah.
so yeah, sorry, rewind what I said earlier. Still interesting.
What I said still works though. with
What
the
you said
metaverse
is
and stuff.
absolutely right. Yep. And yeah, Van Dien has just got in there, but I just said exactly. Yeah, sorry. So Bandcamp do things like vinyl pressing, paid live streaming services. So that still also makes sense for Epic to have, so that they can say like, "Hey, you like the music that we've got in one of these games? Buy it on Bandcamp," etc.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense for them to have a ready-made outlet for all the merchandise. Because as Mike DeCamp, Minds Music, said in the chat, Roblox is focusing on music rights and distribution. And if you know how big Roblox is as an industry, we're talking billions. It makes sense
My
that...
stocks are down on Roblox. I bought the IPO and it's been up all year. And then I bought some more. And then, well, there's bigger problems in the world than my stocks. But that's what's caused the stocks to go down.
Hashtag stonks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roblox. Yeah, Roblox is a really interesting one. The whole metaverse argument is a very interesting one, and I think music is going to be obviously a big part of that. With music around sort of like what are the most the biggest potentials for things like NFTs and other forms of kind of tokenized content is obviously music and kind of giving the power back to musicians. I think one of the biggest problems with it, though, is that there's not very many musicians that are entrepreneurial from a tech point of view. And that's what we kind of need. We need someone to take the reins on it because, like, all the tech revolutions in music over the past 20 years have done nothing to help artists. YouTube music, at least it's advertising revenue there to a degree, I guess, but like Apple Music, iTunes, and Spotify, like I imagine a lot of artists would much rather go back to the days of CDs at the moment in terms of making money from their actual music.
Yeah.
Whereas, say, what you can do with an NFT is it decentralizes the whole thing and gives people a platform. Like it means that so if everyone's using Roblox or using like a Fortnite version of the metaverse, artists can sell their tracks like they were CDs again via NFTs in the game. And there becomes a physical part of it again. So it's not just the song. There's the NFT part that comes with it, whether that be the music video or whether it means just like album artwork. Another thing that is almost a lost art these days. Like you see it on things, but I remember how like album artwork was like massive. And now it's kind of redundant to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all come together. Something that Chris just said in the chat, which makes a lot of sense, is think bigger than Fortnite. Epic owns the Unreal Engine and the Unreal Marketplace. So any game that's made with the Unreal Engine, which is, let's be honest, lots.
Oh, it's half. It's that and Unity are the two platforms that get used, really.
Right.
Unless
But
it's proprietary.
yeah, so lots.
Mm-hmm.
And now
And most,
if the people who own the Unreal Engine also own Bandcamp, integration is just a development step away for them to say, well, if you make a game in the Unreal Engine, you can integrate your Bandcamp in to sell merchandise for your game, and we take the percentage. Everybody wins because then whoever's making the game has an easy outlet for merchandise for revenue, and Epic sit back and take their cut and just go, "Mwahaha, we're rich." Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. At the bottom it says, since 2020, Sony has invested over $450 million in Epic Games, bringing its equity valuation to $28.7 billion in June of last year. So having extra things, extra outlets for, extra revenue avenues, that can only be a good thing for their bottom line, I guess. But hopefully it helps everybody. Now, moving on. This is a quick one, but this is something that my friends over at Isotope asked me to mention. And seeing as though it's on the news articles, why not? If you've been looking at getting the Isotope stuff and Native Instruments Complete, which is one of my favorite bundles of all the synth sounds and samples and drums and all the kind of, if you're not making actual microphone based sounds, Native Instruments Complete covers most of the rest of it. There is now, the two companies are merging, and so you can get some insane deals. So the music production suite, which is Ozone, which I use all the time, and Neutron, which is really clever, and all the other stuff, and Complete 13 is just about €600, 640 euros, what, $700? And yeah, okay, the Ultimate one is more, but then the Ultimate always was more, but still, it's like buying Complete and getting a free Ozone Advanced and Neutron Advanced and all the other AI-based advanced level stuff that they make. So yeah, if you've been eyeing that up, that is a crazy deal. Apparently there's more coming that they can't quite mention just yet because the company merger is still an ongoing thing, but there's more coming, so grab it while you can if that's what you want. Moving on. Trace Elliot. I used to love Trace Elliot bass gear when I was a kid. I had a Trace Elliot bass amp that was about the size of me, and it had the iconic green writing at the top and a massive speaker and a big kind of port, and it could fill a room, but it weighed as much as me. And so they've gone and now made a new amp. This is the T1200 watt amp that can probably fit on my hand. 1200 watts in terms of bass is lots and many and more. That is more than most people would need, although it's probably some class D stuff, so it's not really 1200 watts. It's probably going to feel more like 300 or 400 watts of valve, which is still disgustingly loud. And so yeah, it's got the sounds that you get from Trace Elliot stuff, including the pre-shape button, which suddenly makes the bass just sound really good because it sucks all the honky mid out and just makes it rumble. There's a dual band compressor, and what's that other button? Oh yeah, so you can swap whether the EQ and compressor are one way around or the other, so it changes how it behaves, which is a very modern, very advanced way of working. Little amp, very, very loud. Probably not distorted so much. If you want a distortion sound, you'd have to put a pedal in front of it, because the Trace Elliot sound was always about how clean and how loud can we make this so that when the bass player slaps, everybody in the front row's wigs get blown back. That's what it was all about, and that's why I liked it. Not cheap though, at $999, but it does have a USB recording interface in there, so you can plug that straight in and not use a speaker jack, I believe, and just record with this in your home office without having to kill everybody with volume. And yeah, I'm sure you'll find one in the second-hand market for less in the future. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. You know what day it is?
Thursday.
It is Thursday. But what date is it?
3.
Of
3.
303. It's 303 day.
All right.
Which means it's that baseline day like we keep talking about on the podcast. So yeah, if you've got a 303, today's the day to be making squawky squonking noises. Yes. So there you go, the 303. Apparently there's some alternatives you can get. One from Erica Synths, because Roland aren't currently making one. They've got the TB03, which isn't it's not the same thing. Apparently it's kind of cool, but it's not the same thing. And of course, Behringer, everybody's favorite German Chinese company.
Behringer corner.
We'll get there very shortly. We'll get there. I didn't realize this was in the article. Otherwise, I would have switched these articles round otherwise. But yeah, you can get one of these for just over €100. So you can get not the modded out version that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but the regular one. Not much money. So let's quickly talk about the SE Electronics USB, which of course is for Formula One fans because it goes.
It's fun doing that.
It is fun. But yeah, USB-C condenser mic. So now they're joining all the other companies with having something that you can do. It's got nice big knobs on, so it's got mic gain, mic level, playback level, so you're not rooting around in menus or pressing touch buttons and accidentally changing everything. Sure. What? And so it looks a lot like the Austrian Audio OC mics, the 818 and the 18 that we very much like. It's got that flat profile, which looks kind of cool and gets out your way. Talking about getting out of your way, I almost bought myself a low profile mic arm yesterday, and I had to stop myself because I don't actually need it. This is kind of in the way of me seeing the screens, but I can kind of do that to see past it. But low profile mic stand would be quite nice. It's just extra. But yeah, this would kind of get it out of your face a little bit, and the nice little stand there would be useless to me because that would be too far away from me. But I like having space in front of me. But that's a nice touch that it's included, and it's less than $200, €200. So if it sounds good, she is far too far away from that microphone, but hopefully that's just for the camera. If you're that far away from the microphone, you may as well just shout at a laptop mic, let's be honest. But if you're a professional recording engineer, you're probably not recording in someone's front room untreated anyway. So, yeah, we'll see. It's time for an expanded Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. Behringer Big Corner.
Behringer.
So this is the Behringer Proton, a neutron beating patching monster. So look at this monster of a thing. Got knobs. Because they've got patch holes. They've got lots and lots of holes and knobs. Which can make its own joke, but let's keep it family friendly. So it looks like it's got 5 by 8, 40 different input jacks and 24 output. So that can be configured in so many different ways. So many ways that I would look at and go, hang on, what? And would confuse the life out of me. But if you're a proper synth nut who loves patching modular synths, you'd probably look at that and go, oh, the swingle-ding goes to the hoobadoop. And I'd be looking at it going, yes, it does. Okay, great. I do love the sounds that you get from modular synths, but I've not spent enough time with them really to understand some of the real deep rooting stuff that you get from patching it all. But if that's what you want, you can get one of these from Behringer. Apparently, the price is roughly $299, which, considering all that rooting stuff, that's pretty good. That must be pretty good.
Mm.
So aside from that, what else have we got? Something much smaller, the UB1, which is basically an Oberheim Matrix 6 type thing in a tiny little box.
Tiny.
Tiny. I mean, the keys are tiny little gold contact things. I mean, that's a micro USB connector for scale.
Oh wow, that is tiny.
Yeah, that's super tiny. I wonder if you can get regular MIDI on that, but probably not. It's probably just USB or nothing. It's powered by USB. So it produces, so the MIDI's via USB as well. It's got 2 digitally controlled analog oscillators. So it's kind of like 2 out of the 6 in Oberheim Matrix 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see myself getting one of these because it's $49. That is super cheap. I mean, heck.
Is it going to be too small to play, though?
Yes, but that's where the USB MIDI comes in, because you can either, you can send MIDI out to it from something bigger.
Right, okay.
Like if you've got a controller keyboard already, which a lot of aspiring, producers will have at least some kind of keyboard that's a reasonable size. And yeah, or you can use your DAW and program something in and send it out to this.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still kind of cool, but yeah, the fact that you can do it either way, kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, in the corner, talking of Oberheim, this is more serious. This is the Behringer 2XM, which is basically an Oberheim SEM, but a 2-voice SEM. So these, this much of the box here, this left kind of 4 knobs by 4, that's a direct copy of an Oberheim SEM, synthesizer expander module, which they've actually written on the top there. I wonder if they've done some sort of licensing thing with Tom Oberheim, because we've talked about Behringer and Oberheim on the podcast before, where Behringer gave Oberheim his copyright name back, so he's allowed to make things under the Oberheim name again.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if they've kind of done the thing where it's like, look, Mr. Oberheim, do us a favor. We're going to make this stuff, and I'm sure you're going to make your stuff at a much higher price, and it will sell out because you're Mr. Oberheim. Can we just do it? Is that all right? Because you never know what goes on behind closed doors with this kind of stuff. But yeah, the whole thing with the synthesizer expander modules, the SEMs, is they're really, really nice sounding synth voices. And if you hook up loads of them, you can have a keyboard where you play loads of different notes, and they all kind of get assigned to different ones of these modules as you play. So you can have them be very slightly different from each other, and it gives you a massive sound. Or there's unison mode, which is where there's 6 or 8 of them, or even more if you like, that all play the same note, which is where you get these massive sounding synth sounds, where it plays slightly out of tune, slightly different, some on the left, some on the right, some in the middle, versions of the same note. So when you press it, instead of going it goes and you go whoa. And that's what the Oberheim OB6 and OB8 and OBX was these packed into a very big, chunky, heavy box with a keyboard. And so that's where stuff like the Tom Sawyer bass sound, like we mixed on Warren's channel yesterday and that came out on ours this week, is basically these, but just 6 or 8 of them stacked up. And it sounds like a monster. So yeah, but if you don't want to go whole hog and buy a full Oberheim OBX, because they are thousands upon thousands of dollars, you can get one of these from the Behringers for $2.99. So yeah, it's missing a couple of features that the real Oberheim 2-Voice Pro Special Edition has, but it depends what you need out of it, because yeah, it seems like Tom Oberheim is still making his version, but it's the all singing, all dancing, fully featured, built out of the kind of pressed steel where you could just do violent damage to somebody with it, because it would break the person before it broke the unit. Whereas this, if you dropped it, there's a good chance it would just break, because that's kind of the Behringer way, is it works. Good for you. There you go. It works. If you break it, we'll get you another one. But yeah, there's things like the sample and hold section, which, unless you're going for very specific sounds, like there's a Rush song called "The Camera Eye," where it is the Oberheim stuff, and that's going with this very kind of stepped kind of sound. That's the sample and hold thing. You don't really need it. And there's the sequencer and arpeggiator section, which are missing as well. But again, if that's what you need, you might already have a sequencer and arpeggiator like the Arturia Keystep Pro or something like that. Depends what your rig is. And having the options to do all this kind of stuff is awesome. So yeah, I don't know exactly how it's worked out, whether it's a good thing for Oberheim or whether it's a bad thing or what, I don't know. But it's there, it exists, and that is Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. Da, 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 da. And that was in news. Behringer Corner. I need some water. Just let me get the biggest water bottle you've ever seen.
Aha, I challenge you. Do you think that's a water bottle? This is a water bottle.
How many litres is yours?
2.5.
Ah, mine's only 2.
Ha 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 ha. It's bigger than my face.
The worst bit is that I've had 1.5 of these already today.
I've drank this one.
I think I've got a budgie trapped inside it. The squeaky noises. But yeah, everybody hydrate. Everybody look after yourselves. And does anybody have any questions in the chat for us this week, music production wise, based on the most recent videos, all that kind of stuff? Let's find out, because yeah, like I said, it's been a busy old week for me.
Oh, I started a new job this week.
Oh yeah,
which is worth just letting people know in case they're interested. If you find me on either Twitter or Instagram, you'll be able to find the links. But yeah, I'm now officially writing for Crypto Slate, which is a UK-based crypto website. And I'll be writing articles for them every day. I should have one being published in a few hours.
Nice.
But, yeah, it's really fun. They're really awesome people. I've been writing in the crypto space for quite a while now, but yeah, I'm working very closely with them at the moment, and it's super fun. So yeah, check out Crypto Slate and check out me.
Yes, check out his writing.
Yes. If you're not interested in crypto, don't, because you'll get bored really quickly.
I tried reading some of it and just kind of went, yeah, cool, what?
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah, pretty much. Good job, little buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, in Amp news, I got myself another JCM 800 this week. Which I'm going to put this thing back into. That's the Legendary Tones Lynch mod. It's a JCM 800 combo. It's a 50-watt one, but I had the Victory Sheriff 22 that is now not there in that space, so you can see the lovely bass. So actually, I'm quite happy about that. And I traded it with a guy straight swap for an old JCM 800. This one is going in for repair soon because I took it to John Brown to play it several weeks back, and it went puff with some smoke. And so I'm going to take it back and go, Roland, help. And he'll fix it, and he'll go, oh, it was this thing all along. Ha ha ha. Because that's what he does. And then I'll have a 100-watt and a 50-watt one to compare and go, well, what is the actual difference? And we can make a video about that. Oh, Billy says, what's your opinion of auto-tune? It's fine, I guess. I mean, I prefer to manually tune stuff. Of course, the caveat is you prefer not to ever have to tune stuff, but quite often that is simply not the case. Not with today's ultra-high expectations, anyway. Good example is, and Melodyne is what I prefer to use over auto-tune in that field, if we're getting technical. The Tom Sawyer cover that we put out, I recorded my parts, all of them at the same time, live, off the floor, so to speak. So while the camera was running as a live take. I did 5 or 6 takes and kind of comped the best takes out of that. I make no secret of that. Because, hey, if you were doing it in the studio, you would do it bit by bit by bit and take the time and all that kind of, you'd spend days on the vocals to get it just right. That's how you do it without tuning. And so I got as close as I could. There were a couple of notes where it sounded right but was a little off. And so I just kind of shifted them around a little bit. Not to the point where it kind of killed the original performance, and that's quite a key thing for me. But just enough that people aren't going to listen to it and go, oh no. So it's still me. It's still me jumping for the notes and going, yeah, and that kind of thing. But I kind of get there. And yeah, so little bits. And yeah, I'm quite happy to say it because the standards we have now are so artificially high that you kind of have to keep up with the Joneses a little bit. And so that's what I did. But it's easy to go too far. But even then, it's genre dependent. If you listen to like, there's a lot of the top 40 stuff that's kind of, there's a Latin dance thing going on at the moment with top 20, top 10 stuff. And if you listen to that, there's a lot of these like female singers, like a good example, Camila Cabello. If you listen really closely, if you know what auto-tune sounds like, it's been steamrolled within an inch of its life. And this poor woman who's probably got quite a nice singing voice sounds like she's been turned into a Cyberman. But it's so perfectly on pitch. That's what people listening to top 10 want to hear. They want everything to be perfect. Because everything that's come up over the last 20, 30 years has been progressively more and more and more quote-unquote perfect. So for that style of music, I get it. It's fine with me. If you try and do the same in rock, people tend to call it out and go, that's horrible, usually. But again, it depends. If we're talking like big American stadium rock, that's also kind of the done thing. If you listen to a lot of the top 10 Nashville country stuff, that is so egregiously tuned that, again, it could have been done by a virtual synthesized voice and it would sound pretty much the same. So it's just part of the course, I guess. Just be sympathetic to whatever genre you're working in and just kind of meet those expectations while still doing your own thing. That's what I say. Paul just said, just popped in to say good show last night. Thank you very much. That was on the Produce Like a Pro channel. That just hit 10,000 views in one day. I'm happy with that. But yeah, that was a 3-hour stream where Warren mixed the Tom Sawyer multi-tracks. And just a little announcement while we're here. This Raspberry Pi 400 that I have here, this is the entire computer, by the way, for anyone who's not aware of what these things are. That is it. That's the computer. And I'm going to be doing a series where I do the entire mix of Tom Sawyer on that. And on our YouTube channel is going to be all the setup of how we go about it and the result and talking about whether it can handle it or not using these new Toucan plugins. And then on the Produce Like a Pro Academy, I'm going to go into excruciating nerd detail about mixing every single part. So that's the thing that the guys that Produce Like a Pro asked me to do that. So while I'm doing it, the bit that isn't relevant to them, but I'm still interested in, I'm going to make into a public video for you guys. And it works out for everybody. So yeah, mixing on what is a glorified phone, basically, and see if it can handle it. See if it can handle a full mix. Because I think it just about will. Yeah, I mean, did we talk last time about these Toucan plugins? Had I done anything with them at that point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're getting better and better every day, and because they're not specific to Windows or Mac OS or Linux or anything, they just work in Reaper. Anywhere you can get Reaper to run, I can do it on there, and it's quite a powerful little system, really. So if it can handle all of that without panicking and 100% in the CPU and crashing, then yeah, I'll be really interested to see, because this is a bit of a game changer. Because these plugins sound good enough that you could use them on a professional mix. And if you don't have to pay for them, Reaper isn't free, but it's very cheap. Raspberry Pi isn't free, but it's relatively inexpensive. You could do a full mix, and like I can get. I've got the Mark 1 Audient ID4 that I'm using as the interface, which again very affordable. Between all that lot, I could make, arguably, could make Grammy-winning tracks with a really, really cheap setup. I mean, hey, it's more likely that someone like Phineas and Billie Eilish would be able to do that. But I'm sure if we prove the point that it's technically possible, that says a lot about the next generation of production. So yeah, I'm really interested to see whether it can handle it and where that goes. So yes, excited. And so that's probably a good place to leave this. And we'll see you all same time next week. So yeah, the Guitar Switcher video comes out on Monday. I'll be filming more next week when I've talked to MPB and everyone's tweeted at them and we've got new cameras.
Yes, remember to tweet
MPB.com. Everybody tweet them and tell them how good Hot Pole Studios, also on Twitter, is and how much you want to see them give us cameras at preferential rate. Thanks, everybody.
Just good swaps. We're just looking for good swaps.
Yeah, good swaps. got, want, need. That kind of swaps, like stickers.
Yeah. got.
Oh, I've been doing that this week with my daughter. She's got a Paw Patrol Panini sticker book. Oh, boy.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about that next week when I'm tired looking and go, oh, the stickers. So yeah, thanks, everybody. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. That might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hot Pole Studios. See you there.